The son of Italian immigrants, Chuck Clemente grew up in Boston, where his father, Cosmo Clemente, was a boxing manager and promoter. When the Clementes moved from the North Hill tenements to the suburbs, Chuck found that he and his family were not exactly a welcome presence.
They moved into a community that was all Irish. And I was the so-called thug from the North End. And for the first year of living there, I fought every day. Everybody wanted to take on the skinny guinea from the North End.
By the time he entered high school, Chuck's work patterns were already being shaped.
I worked at a supermarket, and I worked as a bagger and then up to a cashier and then became the night manager, and all this while I was in high school. Because in those days, you worked and you brought money home. It wasn't that the family gave you money, it's that you went out and worked and contributed to the family.
Trained in radio and electronics in the Air Force, Chuck became a squad leader at age 18 and spent the first part of his tour of duty in wartime Korea.
We had a site where we were in the central part of Korea, and we had other sites on the east and west coast. And whenever one of the jets was in trouble, they would call Mayday to us, and we would get a fix, a radar fix wherever they were, and guide them down to the closest airfield.
After Korea, Chuck hoped to parlay his field experience into a Plum Air Base assignment. But the Air Force had a different role for him.
I left Korea and they stationed me in Dallas Center, Iowa, which is in the middle of a cornfield. It was an aircraft control and warning site that never became operational. If you can believe, I spent 22 months in this area when nothing happened. There were just 60 of us there waiting and waiting and waiting. And we had the electronics, we had the radar, we had everything, but nothing happened. Then you say, wow, there are some millions and millions of dollars going down the tubes here. They finally closed it.
During his last year in the Air Force, a family friend told Chuck about a new program that Boston University was offering to veterans who had had little or no college preparation. It was a highly competitive program that compressed the first 2 years of college into one very intensive year.
I took the tests and had the interviews, and I really was not a good candidate in my eyes, but they saw something and they accepted me. And we had just a tremendous time working through those first 2 years. It was hard, very hard. I had no idea what I was getting into, because I had words that I'd never seen before that everybody else was using in everyday life.
With a public communications degree from Boston University, Chuck married and began a family while trying to find a niche in the business world. But with the economy in a steep recession, jobs were scarce for veterans out of college, but he found a technical writing job at Avco Missile Systems. Unfortunately, his then wife had ongoing health problems that left Chuck with much of the responsibility for raising their 3 children. When
I was at Avco in the early days, not only was I doing my normal work, but I was working 3 jobs. I worked after my normal job. I worked for Sears, and I worked, just selling on the floor. And I also worked as a photojournalist. I took jobs to write stories and take pictures for different applications to go into trade journals and stuff like that. So I was actually writing on Sundays and working in the evenings at a second job, as well as the beginnings of my regular job. So it was hard in doing that, and then at nighttime being there and trying to help the children after work, because it wasn't easy. They weren't always well. Sometimes they were sick. But I have 3 wonderful children, and they made life easy for me. They never, ever made life hard for me.
By his late 40s, Chuck Clemente had progressed from a tech writer at Avco to high-level management roles in computer industry leaders like Digital Equipment Corporation, Data General, and Centronics. He had become a publisher and was a senior executive at Hill & Knowlton, the largest international advertising firm of that time. But always the risk taker, he decided to leave Hill & Knowlton with its worldwide staff of 5,000 for an unknown startup company with a staff of 15. The company was called Redgate. Its founder, a 30-year-old visionary named Ted Leonsis, persuaded Chuck to join him and build a company that eventually merged with America Online.
From a visionary standpoint and from a revenue standpoint, it became very exciting. We could see that it was right in mainstream of the new media that we were talking about. At the same time, as a person who ran the operations and profit and loss, I could see a company that had each month somebody giving you a credit card that said they're going to pay their bill each month, and each month it's going to continue, which is a reoccurring revenue stream. And I, in Redgate, am creating $1 over and over and over again. Each day I have to go out and make a new $1. Suddenly I've got a business where money is coming in, I don't have to resell it. And I thought, wow, it's in new media, and I've got a reoccurring revenue stream, and the sky's the limit. Whoa, this is something I really want to do.
These days, Chuck Clemente is technically retired, but only technically. He and his lovely wife, Ruth, have 5 children who are successful in their own right: Chuck Jr., Deborah, Paula, Eric, and Christine. Between trips abroad to Venice and other ports of call around the world, the Clementes spend their time with their grandchildren, shown here with their justifiably proud granddad. Thanks to their success and their generosity, Chuck and Ruth Clemente have given Florida Tech and the people of Brevard County a legacy for a new century and a new era in Florida higher education. Throughout his long and successful career, Chuck Clemente has symbolized the entrepreneurial spirit of junior achievement.
If you're going to be a leader, you must create a safe place for people to take risks. In all of my career, the times that I've done best is when I've had a mentor who has said, it's okay, take a risk, go out there, I've got your back. If it doesn't work, that's okay, we'll both go down together or whatever, but we need to take the risk. We can't just keep taking the ladder steps. If we don't do a leapfrog, we're not going anywhere. So understand that taking risk is good, but you need to have somebody there who says it's okay to take a risk and provide a safe environment.